I am going 6-0 in the division because the rest of the division sucks.
This is the best division in football, Tori. Take that step back. We are seeing the true quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the Man Now, where we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we here for you and we reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country, we the fan favorites. Break the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We crossing topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours and we back again. Breaking news, new scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the courts, we report it all. Buzzer beat us through your speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories cause we love the turf. Tell a friend to tune in and where you heard it first. Yeah, you're listening to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them stats. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them facts. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them stats. Because you listen to the Man Hour.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckosher here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page, and of course check out the blog section as well, as we do try to upload blogs each and every day over there. And I'm falling a little behind, so I definitely need to step up the blog game as well. So I will be getting back on the blog game very, very shortly here and get you guys new content each and every day over there at manhourradio.com. We also got a discount code for all of the people that are listening to the show right now. If you buy some merchandise until next Tuesday, use a promo code SUNSET, all capitalized letters, SUNSET, like the sun is setting in the sky, you will receive $10 off your purchase. So promo code SUNSET and save yourself some dollar bills, y'all. Also, if you are new here and you're watching us here on youtube.com/manhour, be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. But also, you can become a member as little as 99 cents a month. If you get a 99-cent membership, you get access to one after show a week, one behind the scenes footage a week, and extra discounts on merchandise. Then we got other programs of $2.99, which you get Tori Anderson's fantasy show there. So every Wednesday, Tori will give you guys some fantasy advice over there on the YouTube page. And then $5.99, you get entered into our Vegas trip, and also you get a t-shirt. $9.99, you get a hoodie. Every year you're a part of the Man Hour Nation. But let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, the peanut butter to my jelly, Mr. Tori Anderson at manhours_Tori. Tori, what's going on, buddy?
I'm just happy to be here. Feel like I haven't been on all week because, well, I haven't been on all week because we got this little thing called life gets in the way. I always said, and as I told you guys earlier, I'm getting really tired of my work getting in the way of my side hustle.
Yeah, it is bad that we have to go to work to come home to do our love stuff that we really enjoy to do. So it's definitely very, very, very awkward and very, very, very weird. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. So, Mr. Tori Anderson, there has been some big fantasy news that has been buzzing around the world here in the NFL in the last 5 hours, right? Just because I don't know what is going on in Baltimore, but they are just tearing ACLs over here. They're tearing ACLs over there. Hang on. Nana just dropped a $9.99, and thank you very much, Nana, for dropping that super chat. We definitely appreciate it. But with that being said, guys, Gus Edwards has also tore his ACL to add to J.K. Dobbins, to add to Hill, and Marcus Peters has also tore his ACL today as well. Tori, how much does this affect the fantasy running backs moving forward? Because you said Gus was going to be a steal. Now what?
He was going to be a steal because guess what? I drafted him in my league. I was like, ooh, he was there in like the 11th round. I'm like, I got to take him. I have to. I was already set at running back, but you don't pass up value like that. Now, guess what? All Ravens running backs are getting snatched up like hotcakes.
Yeah.
They just signed Le'Veon Bell. He got snatched up immediately. They have Tyson Williams. He got snatched up immediately. It is a free-for-all right now in Baltimore for that running back position to be the second best running back behind Lamar Jackson on that team.
Yeah. So with that being said, because we're seeing, like, I have never seen one team get hit with such a with the ACL bug like the Ravens are doing right now. I mean, we were kind of joking pre-show here, you know, of who was tearing like all the ACLs, but is this a sign of COVID and maybe signs to like come just because players aren't used to putting their body through this? Because last year, you know, you could only practice like an hour a day or something like that. Like, do you think this is things to come with the injury bug hitting the 2021 season?
No, it just seems like every year it's like some team's year. Like injuries will just decimate your team, and it might be Baltimore's year for that. I mean, what their top 4 receivers were hurt for how long?
Some of them are still hurt. Yeah,
their top 2 receivers are down. So I think it's just their year. It happens. It happens to a team every single year. Does not matter. So I just think it's their year. I don't think it's anything like the turf or anything like that. Now, once we get going to the regular season and players start getting hurt in Baltimore when they go there, and we're probably talking a little bit different story about what is it with the turf that's going on there.
Yeah. So one question that I got to bring up to you now is like, basically the Baltimore Ravens are down all 3 string running backs. They're down their starting corner, like as well. So how bad are the Baltimore Ravens going to be in 2021 now?
The running back position really doesn't matter to them. The bigger concern is losing Marcus Peters. That's one of the best corners in the entire league. He's a top 5 corner. And you lose a top 5 corner, there's going to be drop off. I don't care who it is. So that I would be more concerned with the defensive side. I say it probably cost them 1 or 2 games. So I would take whatever their win total you think it's going to be and subtract 2.
So I actually have them going 5-12. So you're thinking like a 3-14 record is realistic for the Baltimore Ravens then?
Those are your words, not mine.
Okay. So then the real question that we got to ask here is, you said it yourself when J.K. Dobbins got hurt. Is it like, it's like, you know what? It is not that big a deal because the best running back on the team is still on the field. Do you think now that the Baltimore Ravens have lost all 3 of their running backs, they still got who's the guy's name? Tyson Hill.
Tyson Williams.
Yeah, Tyson Williams. And they also signed Le'Veon Bell, but he won't be ready probably till week 3 or week 4. Do you think they're going to rely on too much of Lamar Jackson moving forward?
All depends on their receivers. If their receivers are still hurt, yeah, I think they could have an over-reliance on him. If they can get Hollywood Brown and they can get like their top couple of receivers back, I think you're going to see them probably throw the ball a lot more just because Lamar will be the primary threat. Lamar will be their primary running back. You're going to see a lot of rolling pockets. You're going to see a lot of shotgun. You're going to see a run pass option from them. So it's going to hurt them a little bit with the running back until Le'Veon's probably ready. Also, or maybe for all we know, Tyson Hill comes in and lights it, or Tyson Williams. Got me calling him Hill now.
We got Tyson Saints on Williams. The brain. We got Saints on the brain.
Well, and Infinity Sports just said the Ravens signed Devonta Freeman today. So maybe they're just going to put like a stable of old running backs together now.
Yeah, you might as well get Todd Gurley and Adrian Peterson like on the roster too, so they can tear their ACLs too, right?
So I think the smart play for them is to go with Tyson Williams, and let Le'Veon at this point in his career is a backup. Let's be honest, he's not a starting running back in this league anymore.
So you are saying that Le'Veon Bell is just a backup quarterback 100%, or not a backup, not quarterback, but a backup running back?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you said that the Baltimore Ravens are, you can probably take 2 games and subtract them just because of the loss of Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, etc. Let's say that their Le'Veon Bell does show signs of him being back in Steelers land, right? Like the running back that he once was. Could you add those 2 wins back to their roster with a person like Le'Veon Bell doing great things?
Absolutely, because he's a dual threat back. He was a 3-down back. He can catch the ball. So absolutely, if he can find the fountain of youth and turn into Le'Veon Bell of the Steelers, 100%, that makes him a legitimate threat to be an AFC contender. I mean, like I have them going You said you have them going 5-12. I got them going
Uh,
15-2.
No, I had them going a lot better than that. I was just totally kidding. Let me look at what I actually had them going at, just so I can give you a correct answer and just not a spitball in there. If I could pull up the ACC, I had them going 8-9 this year.
See, I got them going 15-2 and winning that division.
You have a lot of teams going really, really high. 15-2
That's-
here, 15-2 there.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, wait till we talk about the NFC West tonight.
Yeah, well, we will be talking about the NFC West coming in hour number 2 here on the Man Hour. We also have Wayne G joining us tonight from Infinity Sports with That's Debatable at 8:45 East Coast time here. But guys, we are going to take a quick little break. On the other side of the break, we have to break down the second best division in all of football, and that is the AFC West. So, Tori, are you ready to break down the AFC West on the other side of the break, good sir?
Absolutely. Right now, I think we're talking about the two best divisions in all of football.
Yeah, hands down, and I do have to agree with you that. So, guys, we are up against the first break here. We are going to be breaking it down, and we'll be right back, guys, here on the Man Hour. Okay, there we go. So I was telling you 15 minutes is actually going to be a half hour. That's my fault.
Oh, yeah. For the breaking it down, that's fine. It's football. We can talk about it. I will not want to get up to go for a run in the morning. It's almost spit out everyone went down the wrong hole.
That's what she said.
Oh! Ew.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyes along with Tori Anderson tonight. If you would be most inclined, hit that like button, hit that share button, and hit that subscribe button if you're watching us here on youtube.com/Man Hour, as we do try to grow our subscriber count each and every day. And Tori, we have officially hit that 1,700 mark over there on the YouTube channel, and it's going to be a snowball effect. Pretty soon we are going to hit that 1 million mark, and we will be thinking, wow, I remember on 9/9/21 we just hit 1,700 subscribers, and then bada bing, bada boom, Tori smiled and all the ladies came and hit the subscribe button for us. But
render the salad unto Caesar.
but if you guys are watching us right now here, let us know you are here in the chat. If you guys got any questions, if you guys want to comment, feel free to gamble and play the games in there as well. There are a lot of gambles and slot machines and duels and everything else. And there's also a vote going in there on the chat tonight of who was going to win tonight's game, the Dallas Cowboys or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I actually had the Cowboys winning. Combs has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tori, who do you have winning?
It's the Cowboys not winning this game.
Oh,
Give me TB12 and the Buccaneers returning all 22 starters
okay.
all day long in this game.
They can return all their starters they want, but the Cowboys are returning Dak Prescott. And on the Wheel of Death, this is just going to put me one game ahead of you guys moving forward. So definitely looking exciting to that. But what I'm really looking forward to, Tori, is breaking down the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs have basically owned the AFC West here the last several years, ever since Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith has basically taken reins of that team, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been back-to-back Super Bowls. So that is the first team we are going to start with here tonight of breaking them down, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, obviously, last year they went to the Super Bowl for the second straight year, losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But some things happened. The positive test, we can't say the C word because we don't want to get shut down, Tori. And so I'm going to give you the floor here, Tori. Give me a few games that are kind of like must-see TV and maybe breaking or making points for the Kansas City Chiefs this season.
I'm going to point to one game specifically, and it's you versus me, your team versus mine. It's a potential Super Bowl matchup. It's primetime TV. It's probably going to be one of the most exciting games of the year. You know, there's no excuses for Green Bay this year because last time we played, Mahomes wasn't playing. He wasn't starting quarterback. So,
Right.
And we throttled the Chiefs. So I would rather see Rodgers versus Mahomes, and it's going to be a prime matchup. It's going to be a good matchup for both teams to see where they are at because they play in week 12, I think it is.
Week 9, the Packers play the Chiefs.
Is it week 9?
Yep.
So it's a great barometer right around that halfway point through the season. It's a good barometer for your team where you're at. Are you a championship caliber team or are you just more fluff?
Yep. Yeah, I have to concur with you on a little bit. I do like that week 9 matchup, the Packers versus the Chiefs, but I have to stay interdivision here, and I have to go with the team that you think is going to go 14-3. I believe is the last time that we had you on, is like when you said that, but it is week 5 when the Buffalo Bills come to Kansas City. I think this is a proving point for both of these teams. The Chiefs and the Bills are going to come into this game with kind of a chip on their shoulder. They will be battling for the representation of the best team in the AFC. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come out on top of this game, giving them the title of the best team in the AFC. But however, Combsy, Tori, I got used to saying Combs so much. However, I do have the Kansas City Chiefs finishing 12-5 this year, even though that does put them in the number 1 seed in the AFC. If they stumble one game here or one game here, the Colts or the Browns can definitely overtake them in that throne. What do you have the Chiefs record at this year?
The Colts or the Browns?
Yeah.
No. I actually have them with the second best record in the AFC behind those Buffalo Bills at 14-3.
So you had the Chiefs going 14-3 this season. Who are the 3 losses?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just redid my picks the other day. I didn't go week by week. I just screenshotted my end results.
Oh,
so
okay.
I do believe I had them losing. I think I have them losing to Buffalo. I have them losing to the Chargers, and I have them losing to the Packers. If I remember.
Yeah, which are all good picks, minus the Packers, because the Kansas City Chiefs will throttle the Packers in week 9.
We will make a bet on that one, Michael. You'll probably be losing your beard again.
I can't shave my beard. I just got it perfect, man. Like, it's taking me so long to get it good.
You did it with LeBlanc.
Yeah, but that's.
I remember the bet.
Yeah.
No,
that's when you became a fan of the man.
It is that's shortly after I started watching.
So, are you saying that I got to shave the beard to get more fans?
I mean, it makes you look younger.
Yeah, true. Very, 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 very.
I keep this because I've busted my chin open so many times. It's just scars across the bottom of it. That's why I have this.
So, Tori, give me a player for the Kansas City Chiefs that is going to surprise some people that has to have a successful season for the Kansas City Chiefs to go. What you had them going 12-5, right?
I do, okay. And there's a couple of them that I can think of. and I'm actually going to give you two. And one is Clyde. Clyde's got to prove that he's going to be the running back of the future there, because there again, until he can prove that he's the future at that running back position, it's going to be the great unknown there. For me, the other one is McCole Hardman stepping up and really being the receiver that they want him to be and they think he can be.
Right.
Right now, I think those are equally important. They got to take some pressure off of Tyreek. Granted, Travis does a little bit of that, but still, to be able to split the defense with another guy on the other side of the field makes everything else that much more dangerous. So, opening up that running game with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and hopefully McCole Hardman kind of stepping up and becoming that number two that they really think he can be are the two big factors for the Kansas City Chiefs this year.
Yeah, and as much as I do like those picks, I am going to stay on the offensive side of the ball with these picks, but I'm going to go the offensive line as a whole. What happened to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl? They lost their left guard due to I believe he tore his Achilles. And we didn't see the Kansas City Chiefs do anything in the draft on the O-line, and then all of a sudden they started getting players left and right. They got Orlando Brown Jr. from the Ravens. They picked up Joe Thuney, right? I mean, they started bringing in players. So the left side of the offensive line is they have to have successful season, protect Patrick Mahomes, and I think that's how they will be successful this season.
Wait, you got to protect the quarterback to win football games? No,
not at all. Right, not at all. Ask a Houston how that's going
for
them, right? All right. So moving on to the next team here in the AFC West, we are going to talk the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers kind of came out of nowhere last year, Tori, when Justin Herbert kind of got the start, like, hey, buddy, you're starting 15 minutes before games because we like to puncture lungs for no apparent reason whatsoever. And many people have them like kind of this sleeper dark horse going to upset some teams and whatnot. So let me ask you this question: what games you got circled that you are going to be watching this season for the Chargers?
Obviously, watching them against the Kansas City Chiefs is one of them. They actually have an interesting schedule. I have them going 12-5. So I'll give you that spoiler right away. I have them going 12-5, but excuse me, they've got a halfway decent schedule. But for me, the Chiefs game is kind of the whole key to it all. How do you pair up against Chiefs? And I know earlier in the year, I think I have the Chiefs in the Chargers splitting this series 1-1. I think I went home and home for them. And the other one, I get the Raiders for them. The Raiders, no matter how bad the Raiders are, how good they are, the Raiders and Chargers always have a really good game as well.
Yeah, for whatever reason, you can almost guarantee that the Raiders and Chiefs will always split the games with the Chargers for whatever reason whatsoever. So I actually have the Chargers splitting with the Kansas City Chiefs as home, both wins at home for each team, and then I had the Chargers and the Raiders splitting as well. But the game that I have circled right off the bat is Week 2 versus the Dallas Cowboys, because I think the Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl caliber team, and they will make a run to the Super Bowl by making it to the NFC Championship game. So this is a good measuring stick for the LA Chargers this season, how good they can prepare versus a high-flying offense like the Dallas Cowboys. And I also have Week 13 when they travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Many people are like scratching their heads. Why? Because this is a trap game for them, I think. Just because they are going to come off a very good stretch of games here. They're playing the Vikings, the Steelers, and then the Broncos, and then they go into Cincinnati. First of all, traveling from the coast to the East Coast, time zone wise, that is a big change. So when you're playing a 1:00 afternoon game, it's 10:00 on your body. So that is a huge trap game for them, and I need them to show up and do good things for them. So Tori, you had the Chargers going 12-5. I actually have them going 11-6, finishing second in the AFC West this season. I think the Chargers are a team, if you let them into the playoffs, you do not want to face them in the playoffs whatsoever. If they sneak in, or if the Chargers get in the playoffs, no matter if they're high flying or they barely sneak in, this is a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think they are a playoff caliber team. They are a team that could be dangerous. And there again, it's a team on the rise. They are hitting a stride at a perfect time. They have a young Austin Eckler in his prime. They have a Keenan Allen in his prime. They have a young rising quarterback in Justin Herbert. This is a team that is about to be very, very dangerous for the next 4 or 5 years. And it's going to make the AFC West between them and the Chiefs very interesting. And I look forward to watching it. But they are a team that could just come in. And if they knock somebody off, you're going to be like, I thought they might. If they lose the first round, you're like, I'd be like, I could see that too.
Yeah.
So I do expect them to make a little bit of noise, and they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but Austin Eckler is out for the season with the torn Achilles, right?
Did he go out now?
Yeah, like I thought he tore it back in like June or July, wasn't it? I can't remember. I thought it was Austin Eckler. Yeah.
I don't think so, because I don't think Justin Jackson's starting for them.
I don't know. Like we'll have to check that here in the break. But who is a sleeper or who is a player for the Chargers that has to have a good season?
Oof. It's a great question. Thanks for asking.
Come back tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow. No, for me, it's Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's got to avoid the sophomore slump. He has to avoid that little regression. He has to avoid getting too comfortable. It happens to a lot of quarterbacks where they're like, all of a sudden they get a little bit of swagger to them, get a little sway, and they have a huge regression in that second year. So at that point, you've already learned to run before you knew how to walk. So they need him to avoid that. They need him to continue building on the success that he had last year. The biggest knock on him last year, or coming out of and into the draft, was he was inaccurate at Oregon, and he wasn't great accurate wise, and I think he was like 67% last year. So as long as they keep the offense where it's capable for him, he's going to do just fine.
Yeah. So I did just look, and Austin Eckler is just questionable. He is not out. So I'm thinking of another running back over there on the West Coast that tore his Achilles. I want to say July or August. I can't remember who it was, but the player that I am curious, or that has to have a great season for the Chargers to make that 11-6 run, 12-5 run in your eyes. And I'm going to go with Mike Williams, the wide receiver. He is listed at number 2, but I think he is going to be but he will definitely lead the team in catches and yards this season 100%. And
okay, what do you want to bet?
Bet what?
That Mike Williams is going to have a better receiving year than Keenan Allen?
Because I feel that Keenan Allen will be double teamed almost every freaking play.
Baller's gonna ball still.
Baller's gonna ball still. That's what you say?
What do you think? What do you think Devontae Adams did last year? You think Devontae wasn't double teamed every play?
He wasn't.
So who was our other threat then?
Man, you have the tight ends were a big threat that kept the safeties in the box.
In the red zone.
Yeah.
He had 596 yards and 11 touchdowns, Tunyon did.
Better than most tight ends.
I mean, that says red zone threat. 596 yards and 11 touchdowns. No doubt he is a great red zone threat.
Yeah.
But defenses weren't double covering Robert Tunyon.
Yeah, so Wayne G, big shout out to Wayne G. He'll be on here in about 15 minutes with his segment of That's Debatable. He said Cam Akers is one that tore his Achilles. That's who I was thinking of. So moving on here to the next team in the AFC West here, Tori, and that is the Denver Broncos. I feel like the Denver Broncos are that wild card team that either they can be really good or really bad, and if there was an 8-18, the Denver Broncos are going to be it. Now, they do have a new quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. He is listed to start week 1 for them versus the New York Giants when they travel to New York. So, Mr. Torrey Anderson, what are some games that you have circled for the Denver Broncos?
None. They're going to be awful this year.
Wow.
I really don't. I don't have anything circled for them. They're going to be a non-factor this year. This is an organization trying to figure out if they need to rebuild or retool. And this year they've said, I think we need to retool, but they didn't retool with weapons. So I think this is a lost cause year for them. Like, really no game stands out for them or the next team that we'll talk about. Like, I mean, there's some teams like that they can play tough. Like, there again, it's the the Raiders Denver rivalry. Not as big as the KC Denver or the KC Raiders rivalry, but still that's the rival inside the division. So they need to figure out what they're going to do as an organization. I think John Elway is just completely lost as whatever his role is now with the team. He always tries to draft a quarterback, fails after he starts him for a year, and then will go sign a veteran the very next year. Like, that's his MO. And like, hope he strikes gold.
Yeah, he did strike gold with Peyton Manning for those 2 Super Bowl appearances. So maybe he can do with like Teddy. I don't know, but the game
Teddy Bridgewater, Peyton Manning.
I'm not saying that, man. I've went out on a ledge and I've said some
Buck
weird
just
things.
Said Teddy Bridgewater is the next Peyton Manning.
And if you ask Soup Boss, I said that Tyrod Taylor is better than Deshaun. So take it what you will, read between the lines here, but I actually have faith in this Denver Broncos team. With that being said, I had that Week 18 game circled when Kansas City comes to Mile High Stadium, and I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs will already have that number 1 seed locked up in the AFC, so they won't be playing their boys. But Denver Broncos is fighting for that 7th and final playoff spot in the AFC. So I have that game circled, and I have the Denver Broncos actually winning that game, sneaking into the playoffs as a 7 seed and finishing the season 9-8. So I also have that Week 6 game circled with the Raiders, because I feel like the Raiders are going to still kind of be relevant at that point. So the Raiders always give them a good game, obviously. But they have to win that game as well. So I have them going 2-4 in the division, and only beating the Raiders twice. Or sorry, I had them beating the Raiders and the Chiefs in the division. What do you have as a record for the Denver Broncos?
I have them going 5-12 this year.
We are almost on the exact polar opposites of the scale there. Like,
yes,
5-12, and I have them sneaking into the playoffs.
Right. I don't see a playoff appearance for this team this year. And there again, I could be wrong. I like Teddy Bridgewater as a quarterback. Yeah. I'm basing off of how he played last year with Matt Rule in Carolina.
See, and there again, he played well.
I thought he played decent, but he did have no CMC. And so they became a one-dimensional. They were throwing in a lot offense.
Right. So, which that's not what Teddy Bridgewater excels at. He excels at like a Tom Brady type offense. Get the ball out of his hands quick and run it 30 times a game.
And he does have Melvin Gordon, so he probably could run it 30 times a game.
True. So give me a player to watch for on the Denver Broncos.
Melvin Gordon. Hands down. He had a down year last year. They paid him a lot of money to come over from Los Angeles. And they didn't get a ton of production out of him last year. They cut they cut Lindsey. They cut basically everybody else. They did draft Javonte Williams, who could be a threat to Melvin Gordon's carries. However, if Gordon plays like the running back that he can be, I think that he rejuvenates. He returns back to his Pro Bowl form. So for me, it's Melvin Gordon to set the pace for that offense. If Melvin Gordon can return to form, take the pressure off of Teddy Bridgewater, they are probably a better team. And I would agree, then they're probably around an 8-win team. They'd be like an 8-9.
Yeah, so on the flip side of that, let's say Melvin Gordon does have a good season, and I think the reason why he is going to have a good season this year is because of the fantasy guy that I drafted last year that ended up being a bust, scored like 7 points the whole season, but that is Noah Fant. Like, I think Noah Fant is a player for the Denver Broncos that kind of has to have a good season, be that good check down guy, be that bailout, and keeping the safeties honest, not keeping 7-8 guys in the box. Because if Noah Fant excels this season, which I think he can, that will open up for Cortland Sutherland or Sutton. That will open it up for Jerry Jeudy, and then of course open it up for the running game as well. So I think the whole key to the kingdom right here is Noah Fant.
There's no such thing as a tight end having the key to the kingdom,
except for Travis Kelce and what's his
even without
name
Kelsey
in-
though, there's still Tyreek.
True. Very, very true. All right, so moving on to the last team here in the AFC West, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. That still sounds very, very weird rolling off the tongue. I definitely want to say Oakland 100%. But, Tori, give me a game to watch for or a couple in Las Vegas' schedule this year.
Again, no matter how good or how bad they are, they play their division opponents tough. They will play the Broncos tough. They will play the Chiefs tough. They will play the Chargers tough. Like, that is the thing. They are, even when they're not good, they're scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not Raider Nation for no reason. They play like their fan base, rough and tough, and they don't give up. So I'm one of those that doesn't have a ton of faith in Mayock and Gruden. I think this is here that they finally get fired, unless anybody else sees something that I'm not seeing from this team. I mean, this tells me the state of the Raiders. All in one thing, the fact that you traded Khalil Mack and then asked the Bears if you could trade back for him this year. What? Oh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it is completely a Raider move.
Yeah, so see, I every year for whatever reason, I pick the Raiders to do great, right? Like I'm talking like 12-4, you know, like 11-5, you know, that type of record every year.
You also picked the Bears to go 10-7.
I did not.
Let's
pick
be
the
real.
Bears. Did I pick the Bears to go 10-7? I
Or
7-10.
The Lions, excuse me.
Actually, I had that bumped up to 11-6 now. If you want to roll back that tape, but every year the Las Vegas Raiders have such a big ceiling and such a low basement that it is hard to logically judge them this year. So this year I am judging everything off of their quarterback play and Derek Carr. We have seen Derek Carr progressively get better each and every year, but every year he comes up and he is a topic of trade talk every year, and I don't know why. And this year his name wasn't floating around as much, so I think that maybe he has finally solidified himself in the black and silver, and I think he is going to have a great season. So the game that I have circled here are basically all of the home games for the Las Vegas Raiders this season. I am curious.
Who doesn't want a DJ in the end zone?
Well, I'm not worried about that. I wonder if the black hole from Oakland and from LA, are they going to make the trip to Vegas each and every home game? Do you think that black hole, that home field advantage is actually going to be there in Vegas? Or is Vegas such a destination place that the home or that the road teams might have more fans there? That is what I'm curious to see. And week 1, we are going to see that it is a destination for all these visiting teams, and the Ravens are going to come in there and they're going to smack the Raiders around. But however, with that being said, I do have them going 7-10 on the season because I think Derek Carr is going to put the team on their back, and I could see him throwing for 4,500 yards this year, Tori. I mean, having like a 67% completion, and he is going to definitely have an MVP caliber season, but he will not even be in the conversation because the Raiders are going to be 7-10. So there's, obviously you've got to be winning to be in that conversation. So I'm giving you Derek Carr, who is a player that has to have a successful season for the Raiders.
For them, it's Henry Ruggs needs to come back and have a great season for them. He's basically taking over as their number one. So, and everything they read, his route running was not that great before.
Horrible.
And that's the one thing they said that he worked on really, really hard over the off season was to improve his route running. And they said it's starting to show on the field. So for me, it's him. It's got to be him because, I mean, you used a first round pick on him. He was very, very hyped coming out of college, and rightfully so. I mean, How many Bama receivers been taken in the first round now in the last 2 years? 4 of them.
Right.
So that just tells you what kind of depth Bama had. But Henry Ruggs was not a great route runner. He was a typical Raiders receiver. He could run and fly with the best of them, but couldn't run a route for his life. At least they got rid of the guy who runs a 4.240 but can't catch a ball. At least they went with somebody that can catch a ball.
Are you referring to the guy from Kentucky? What was his name? That played quarterback for them, but they drafted him like second round as a receiver. What was his name?
Oh, the guy that they traded?
Yeah.
The dude that I got it in the tip of my tongue.
It was the quarterback from Kentucky in like 2019 or whatever. But,
yeah, and then they traded him his last year. They traded him to Miami before the season even started.
Yeah, I don't think he even made the roster.
No, he's on the roster. No, he's on the roster.
Okay,
I got to look now.
So do you think that Darren Waller, because many people are putting him in the conversation with Travis Kelce, George Kittle, those top elite tight ends here. So let me ask you this question, Tori. Can Darren Waller be an elite tight end for the Raiders this year?
What do you want? Can he be? He is.
He is.
He's probably the fourth or fifth best tight end in the league right now. He's the tight end that nobody talks about. He has put together 2 phenomenal years that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
Darren Waller is a top 5 tight end in this league. He's probably, he's not on the level of Kelce or a Kittle or a Gronk, but he's close. He's more of a he's right on the level of Hawkinson, who is also a top 5 tight end in this league.
So how can Darren Waller be considered a elite tight end in the league? Because you kind of put him on the second tier. How can he jump up into that first tier? Does Derek Carr need to get him the ball more? Does he need to score more touchdowns? What can make him be in that conversation?
Yeah, for me, it'd probably be, the thing is, he just needs more recognition for what he does. And you would think, being a Raider, he would have a ton. But the Raiders are not that good. They've not been a good team for a while.
Yeah.
So therefore, they don't get talked about. For them, it's mostly they just need more attention on him and on the Raiders.
So basically, the Raiders have to win for him to be considered elite.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Lynn Bowden is the guy we were trying to think of.
Yeah, Lynn Bowden, right? Bowden?
Yeah.
Whatever. He played quarterback for at Kentucky, and the Raiders drafted him second as a receiver. I think it was like a high second round pick too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he was very hyped.
Yeah.
And then they traded him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a very good point here, but on the other, we're up against the next break, guys. Here on the other side of the break, we have a very special guest in Wayne G with his weekly Thursday segment here at 8:45 East Coast time with That's Debatable. You can find Wayne G at Affinity Sports 5 on the Twitter machine, and you can also find Infinity Sports on all podcast forums as well. Wayne and Infinity Sports are also part of the Belly Up Sports Network, much like Man Hour is as well. So guys, head over to bellyupsports.com and be sure to check out all the podcasts all over there, and of course the blog sections as well. So guys, we'll be right back here on the Man Hour after this short little break.
the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheist along with Tori Anderson tonight. You can find us on the old Twitter machine at manhour_Buck. And, of course, manhour_Tori is where you can find him. You guys can also head over to manhourradio.com if you missed any part of the show, as we do upload it in podcast form after the live show is over here every Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. East Coast time on the old YouTube page. But before we get too carried away, guys, we have to welcome the special guest of the hour, and that is Mr. Wayne G from Infinity Sports himself. Wayne, what's going on tonight, buddy?
What's going on? I'm excited to be on the show again. I love doing this segment every week.
Yeah, we are very excited to have you on the show, Wayne, as always. But tell the people where they can find you, where they can find your blogs, and all that stuff.
For sure. I am part of the Belly Up Sports Network, just like Man Hour. The great thing about the Belly Up Sports Network is it's not just podcasts, where you can find Infinity Sports, which is my hour-long podcast I do weekly. You can also find a ton of my blogs. I've become the basketball blogger, and we might talk about that a little bit, but I definitely write blogs. There's a bunch of other good ones on there, fantasy and whatnot. And this segment today, what we try to do is just bring up a couple of topics that I think are controversial, and I'm not doing hot takes just for the sake of it. These are things I actually believe, and I get the guys' takes on those.
Yeah, so I mean, as always, guys, Wayne G is with us every Thursday. So Wayne, let's go ahead and get it started. What is the first topic of the night?
The first one, I'm actually disappointed that Wyatt's not here, because this one was inspired by you guys, and I wrote a blog about this, and it's my newest blog, or not my newest, but it's one of my newest blogs, and it's called State of Basketball. Because basically, I'm always looking for stuff to write about, and I reached out to you guys and I said, hey, what should I write about? And Mike actually is the one that said, hey, why don't you write about how Indiana produces the best high school basketball players? And I said, well, they don't, so I'm not going to write about that. And Wyatt went to work on me and saying how great Indiana was and whatnot. And so I went and I did the research, and it turns out Indiana sucks at producing high school basketball players.
So, Tori, what are your thoughts on that?
Everything in Indiana sucks.
Wow. That's
It's Indiana.
kinda
The only
weird.
thing that they're good at is reading the Bible.
We're not even good at that, Tori. So just to add some points to reference here, like I said it, like I kind of said it in like a trolling type of way in like our group chat, just because like I knew that was going to get Wyatt fired up, just because you know, like I know how to get under people's skins. That is why we always have 911 on speed dial every time Combs is on the show, because I know what drives him crazy. So when I said that Indiana produces the most high school basketball, like I don't even know what words I use. I believe said Indiana was the best high school state, right? Is that what
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I'd said like best as in they're most passionate, but not that they produce the best players.
Yeah. So the reason why I said that is because here in the southern Indiana area where me and Wyatt are from, there are at least 15 kids from area schools that are going to the Division I level this season. Like they're playing Division I basketball this season. One of them was Trey Kaufman, which he is at Purdue right now, and I believe in pre-drafts he is like looking at number 15 overall as of right now, and he hasn't even played a dribble in Purdue in college basketball whatsoever. So like that was kind of my inspiration of saying that behind that whole thing. But I did not think that Wyatt was going to go to that type of extreme. But the one thing that surprised me about your blog, Wayne, was, well, wasn't it Florida that produced the most professional basketball players?
Yeah, that's correct. Over the past 10 years, Florida had produced 20, not professional, but 27 top 25 high school basketball players, and Indiana only had 8.
I was going to say, like, when you said 15 D1 athletes, I'm like, Dade County's probably produced that last year.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I agree with that, but I don't. But like, when I read that blog, I was not expecting Florida to be kind of like the basketball state per se. Like I was thinking like maybe like Pennsylvania or New York or something, you know, like somewhere where it's cold. So you're always inside just shooting the basketball. So, I mean, I was kind of taken off by that because I believe the top 3 states were Florida, California, and Texas, right, Wayne?
That's correct. All 3 of those had over 20
Yeah.
top 25 guys. And then it was New York, and then it was North Carolina. But even New York was only like 14 compared to 27 for Florida.
Yeah, and like wasn't it like 1 per 100 player was going to like I don't remember what the stat was, but it was like 1 per 100 or something.
Because Wyatt wanted to bring up per capita because he said, Indiana might only have 8 guys, but it's a smaller state, so it's per capita they produce more. And I told him that per capita, I did how many top 25 basketball players over the last 10 years they have per million people in their population. And Indiana wasn't even in the top 5 in that category. Florida was 3rd. And so I said, tough luck on Indiana. They suck.
Yeah. So the only
Why do
thing,
you always hurt Wyatt's feelings? Every time you hurt Wyatt's feelings.
Wyatt is not a debater type of person whatsoever. Like he tries
He's
to
a
find
lover.
he tries to find calm and ground and agree with and agree with you on some points, but then he's like totally like he'd be like, oh, Kevin King sucks, but he'd be like, hey, Kevin King, you're my friend, man, right? So when you wrote your blog, it was inspired by top 25 rankings going into the college level. Do you have any idea what it was per high school players going into the NBA? Like how many that transferred over? Like
I didn't get that particular statistics. I did mention a couple of guys from each of those states that made it to the NBA, but for the most part, I didn't have that statistic. And it's tough to track because some guys, they might make it like Connecticut has a guy named Will Solomon. He played 1 season with the Memphis Grizzlies. So I guess he would count, but really it's 1 season. He sat the bench.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed reading that blog, and I believe it was like last Saturday when you guys were like, my phone was like ding, 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 like all afternoon. I was like, oh, well, what's going on here?
Well, my favorite was, just like Wyatt wanted to use the fact that Wilt Chamberlain's teammates smoked cigarettes in the locker room against them. He tried to bring up how many 3-star players came out of Indiana. As like a 3-star player is like 150 plus ranked. So you had 5 guys between 150 and 200, and that makes them better than Texas, who had 4 top 25 guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, like rankings and stars coming out of high school, especially like nowadays, it is all about who you're paying to like give you those rankings and like stars, because we technically had a 5-star long snapper come out of our high school because he went to like all these camps like all the time. But truth be told, like he is the worst long snapper I've ever seen in my life. Like it's just like, why? But that's here nor there. What's the next topic?
What Zen? What about Zen? Zen was a 3-star kid and turned into a 5-star kid.
So actually, Zen started at 2.5 stars. He got recruited by Indiana State. Once people caught the wind of him and they saw him in person, he jumped up to like a 4-star within like a month or two. And then by the time he signed with Ohio State, he was a 5-star recruit. And I believe he was the 2nd highest rated player in all of Indiana, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I wanted to go with a football one for you guys next because that's kind of your bread and butter, right? And my football one, you guys are going to love this because you were just talking about this actually. And this one is this season, 2021, Le'Veon Bell's going to have a 1,000-yard season.
Wow. Okay, Tori.
Ooh. No. I just really want Le'Veon Bell to be washed up. I really do. I'm tired of his mouth. I'm tired of his drama. I mean, the man went to Kansas City with Andy Reid, who Andy Reid gets along with everybody. He was like, this place sucks. He's horrible. Like, come on, man. It's Andy freaking Reid. So, I don't know. I don't think he does. I think that they're going to roll the dice with Tyson Williams this year. Le'Veon, the fact that they signed Devontae Freeman tells me another story that maybe Le'Veon showed up in not so great a shape, that they're already making contingency plans. I think they're going to roll with the young guy and give him his chance because, well, you just signed, hit Bell, you got Devonta Freeman, and you got them for next to nothing. So let the young kid run.
Yeah. So if you would have asked this question 5 hours ago, I would have told you absolutely not. Like Le'Veon Bell won't step foot on that field till like week 9 or week 10, because didn't the Ravens sign like Des Bryant to the practice squad, and he was on there for damn near 4 or 5 weeks before he got on the field, and they didn't really incorporate him into the offense at like at all. So I'm gonna say on Torrey's side of things, like I hope he doesn't get 1,000 yards, but I'm going to say I'm going to waffle around a little bit. I think he will have about 750 yards this season if he's able to play with the Ravens, because, you know, they did sign Devontae Freeman, but like at this point is like, which one's in better shape? Like, are they going to do a running back by committee, much like what your Patriots do, Wayne? What, you know, they always have 3 to 4 guys rotating in, keeping everybody fresh, and they all get like 30 yards a game. So I'm going to say no, that Le'Veon Bell doesn't get 1,000 yards.
Well, here's the reason for it. And I'll say to Torrey's point about Dez Bryant is that Dez Bryant didn't play the season before that and was coming off an Achilles injury.
Right.
Le'Veon Bell did play last season and he's not injured. And so I will say this as well, too, is that Le'Veon Bell was signed to the practice squad. So was Devontae Freeman. They were both signed to the practice squads. And reports have come out that Jim Harbaugh is saying that Le'Veon Bell might be on the 53-man roster for week 1 and get snaps.
Wow.
And so if he's going to be their primary back, which I think he is, I've never even heard of this, Tyson Williams, that could change. But Le'Veon Bell, you have to remember that 2 years ago, he had 1,250 yards between receiving and rushing, right? And he averaged 3.7 yards per carry. Last year, he averaged 5 yards a carry. He just wasn't getting the carries because he's behind 2 other running backs in Kansas City. And like Torrey said, he didn't get along with the head coach. Now he's in a system where he's going to be the featured back because their 2 starters got injured. And he averaged 5 yards a carry last year. I think he's going to have, again, another 1,200, 1,300 yard season combined.
So, well, do you think he's really going to be the featured back when they have Lamar Jackson there? Can he really take a back seat?
Well, Lamar Jackson is the quarterback, right? And so I think Lamar Jackson running back. I think he has a bounce back year this year, maybe one of those MVP type seasons where he can throw 28, 30 touchdowns, only have 2 or 4 interceptions. That's the way he is. I just don't like the way that they utilize him. I don't like the RPO with him because he can be a pocket passer. I think they don't utilize that enough.
So, Wayne G, let me ask you this question. Let's look at the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line last season versus the Baltimore Ravens line this season. Who do you think has a better offensive line?
It's tough because Kansas City upgraded their offensive line this offseason, getting Orlando Brown from Baltimore, but last season their offensive line was not that great. They did not have Tooney, they did not have Brown. So I would say that they're comparable to each other. But again, the offensive line wasn't the problem for Le'Veon Bell, is that he was the 3rd string running back.
Right.
Now he's going to be RB1.
But so kind of what I was trying to set you up there for. So saying that their offensive lines are similar, what opens up a running game when offensive lines are kind of average or below average? That's a great passing game, and the Ravens don't have that great passing game, like that vertical downfield threat like the Kansas City Chiefs had. So I feel like you are going to see a lot of single man coverage on the outsides and keep 7-8 guys in the box. So Le'Veon Bell will not be averaging 5 yards per carry. We will definitely see what we saw when he was in New York and getting like 1.2 and 2 yards a carry, because, you know, obviously it was a horrible Jets team.
If they take that strategy and they put 7 in the box and they go one-on-one in the outside corners, which is Rashad Bateman and Hollywood Brown now, and you still got that tight end Andrews in the middle, then Lamar Jackson, the running back talk is over. He's going to throw 45 touchdowns this year if that's what they want to do. But I don't think they're going to do that. They have to respect the running game. But I think if they try to stack the box on Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's going to have an Aaron Rodgers type season.
Wow. Torrey, any thoughts on that?
I like his thought process right there. I really do. You get way down on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is not a bad quarterback. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback that will always play within himself. And I think that he's right, 100%.
So what makes let me hedge my bet here a tad bit. Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback when he can throw the ball underneath 10 yards consistently and run that RPO effectively. What hurts Lamar Jackson is the 10+ yards down the field. I believe I looked it up earlier last season, and any pass over 12 yards downfield in the air, he only had a 30% completion rate. That is not very good, considering the league average was over 45%.
I'd be curious to see who he was targeting. I know that Hollywood Brown was drawing the double teams, and their wide receiver 2 option was, well, none of us know because he's probably bagging groceries now.
Yeah.
So now they've got Rashad Bateman. They got him in the draft. He's a wide receiver 1 as well. Even though he's a rookie, he's probably a wide receiver 2 now. But on any other team after a year, he's a wide receiver 1. So they got 2 1s now, and I think that's going to help him out.
Yeah, and just to be completely transparent here, I don't know who the target was. It was just a overall strategy or a overall stat on that. So just
Their
FYI.
receiving core was not good last year. They were also banged up last year. Like Hollywood Brown was kind of thought to be the guy last year and just never really, well, he got hurt and he was banged up too, but never fully developed into like that true number 1 target.
Was it Willie Snead? What was he on the Ravens last year?
He
may have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, what's next, Wayne?
All right, let's bring it back to basketball. We know how I love rating things. This one actually came from my former co-host on Infinity Sports, Jesse. He asked me, he said, if Michael Jordan had retired in 1993 after winning the three-peat and didn't come back, that was it. He's done, never comes back, Barry Sanders style, retires at 30, right? Where does he rank all time? And I said he ranks 6th because he ranks behind Wilt Chamberlain, who he already ranks behind, even with the 6 championships. He ranks behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan. So I think Michael Jordan, if he only wins those 3 championships and retires at age 30, even with the MVPs and the scoring titles, he's the 6th best player of all time.
Tori?
Ooh. If he retires with those 3, it's still an impressive run. I would say 5th. The only person I would put him ahead of it would be on that list would be Duncan at that point. Just because he was a transformational player. He made people change the way that they played the game, and he made people he made people want to be him. He made people want to be better than him so they could say, I took on MJ. I was better than MJ. So I would honestly, as tough as it is, he only wins 3 titles, though. I still got to put him ahead of Duncan, even with everything. I'm still placing him ahead of Duncan. I put him at number 5. The rest of them, you can't really argue. He would be behind them easily then.
So, Wayne, let me ask you this question because you are an NBA nut by all means, and I was still very young when Michael Jordan was in his prime. After that 93 season, what kind of hype was around Michael Jordan? Were they comparing him to Wilt and all those other guys?
They were saying he was the best player of all time.
So after the 3 championships, he was the best player of all time.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what was being said about. But again, Kobe hadn't come along, LeBron hadn't come along.
Right. So with that being said, many people judge the greatness by rings, right? You know, like every time I see the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James talk, it's like 6 rings versus 3 or whatever LeBron has. So I kind of have to concur with you there, Wayne. Like I would even throw Shaquille O'Neal over him as well. Shaquille O'Neal was easily one of the best big men of all time. And we have to revert to the best Indiana player of all time, not Sean Kemp, but Mr. Larry Bird himself. I think Larry Bird would be considered a little better than Michael Jordan as well. So that probably knocks him down to about 7.
Well, see, Larry Bird had finished his career by 93. He retired in 91, and people were already saying that Jordan was better than Bird at that time. So in the case of Kobe and Duncan and LeBron, they hadn't come along yet. So with Bird, he had come along and he had retired, and at that point they said Jordan's better than him.
Right.
So I think they kind of fall in that next tier. To Tori's point, that putting him ahead of Duncan, it doesn't make any sense to me because you have him behind Kobe then. So you're saying he's not even the best shooting guard of all time, and Duncan's the best power forward of all time. So you're taking the guy who's the best at his position and you're putting him behind a guy who's second best at his position. Duncan retired with 5 championship rings and 14 all NBA first teams. I mean, he was legit. So I think that, to me, you could put Duncan ahead of Kobe even. I think that those two are interchangeable. And because they're interchangeable, that's why I put both of them ahead of Jordan.
Would you put Oscar Robertson above Michael Jordan as well?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Tori, would you add anybody looking at the best players of all time? Would you add anybody in there?
I don't know if I would add anybody in there because there's nobody really else in there. Like, like I try to take the ring thing out of it because if that's the case, I mean, Robert Ory's is a top 10 player of all time if you
But
bring
if you're the
rings
best
into
player
it.
on your team and win a lot of
Right. Right. But and to your point, like if you consider him the second best shooting guard in the league, yeah, he could still be a top 5 player. I don't say, well, the best at each of these positions because he could have been better than Duncan. And I think he was, just because people didn't change the way they played the game because of Duncan. Duncan was just dominant. You weren't going to stop him. He was him. People changed the way they guarded people. They changed everything around MJ. And that's why I would rank him ahead of it. He was transformational in that way. People wanted to be him. People wanted to be better than him. He changed the game. And those players are almost once in a lifetime type players for everybody, and that's why I think he goes top 5.
Do you think people wanted to be Michael Jordan because of the high flying antics, like the tongue out and the shoes and everything else? Maybe if Tim Duncan was a little bit more flashy, people would like want to be Tim, just because like I know as a taller white boy, I looked up to Tim Duncan just because, I knew I wasn't flying above the rim with the tongue out my mouth. Like I was in the post doing some hook shots and some layups and shit like that.
Yeah, I think that Tim Duncan's lack of flair definitely hurts him among the casual fans who talk about basketball, because the diehards like myself, we watched him play. We know how good Tim Duncan was.
Right.
But your casual fans like, oh, Duncan wasn't that good. And then you go back, oh, he only averaged 24 points and 12 and a half rebounds a game. And, led all these teams to championships.
He had 6 rings too, right?
5.
And he loved to use the backboard.
Right.
Loved to use the backboard. That's the one thing I loved about Duncan.
They said that, I think I remember reading something that if it was something like if Ray Allen doesn't hit that 3-pointer against Spurs and Tim Duncan's got 6, he's 6-1 in the finals. So.
And we probably leave LeBron James even out like of the top 5 talk, right?
I wouldn't. I mean, the way he plays the game, he's a generational talent. He does things that nobody's done before, like Tori was saying.
You can't ignore 9 finals in a row. You can't ignore that.
Right. So let me ask you this question, Rain. Totally off the topic here. Well, not off the topic, but if I remember correctly, Sean Kemp never won a title, right? Never won a ring with the Seattle SuperSonics.
Correct.
No, they made 1 finals against the Bulls and then they got stomped.
Is he the best player ever to not win a ring?
No.
Barkley.
Oh, you got Barkley, Ewing, Stockton, Malone.
I think Sean Kemp was better than all those guys.
Oh no, that's crazy.
What? Then you just show you don't watch basketball at that point.
That's just the Indiana thing, right?
Chris Paul's a better player. And Sean Kemp doesn't have a ring.
Sean Kemp had 2 really good years. 2. I mean, Charles Barkley had 12. So I mean, Karl Malone's the second leading scorer in NBA history. So I think you definitely have to have those guys ahead of Sean Kemp.
Yeah, I forgot about Carmone. Like, did he win a title with the Lakers when he joined?
No, they lost 4 games to 1
lost
to the Pistons.
Yep, that was the year the Pistons won it.
Yeah.
That was the year they tried to form that super team with Gary Payton, Malone.
Can you really
Kobe
call that a
and
super
Shaq.
team? They're all like 45 years old.
Well,
They
Kobe
could
and
still-
Shaq were still in their prime.
Oh yeah, but like Karl Malone,
And they were role players. They were
Yeah.
role players at that point. They weren't looked at.
Wasn't
at
Steve
that
Nash
point,
on the team,
Derek.
too?
No, Derek Fisher. I think Derek Fisher was the starting point guard, and Gary Payton was the backup, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You had Glenn Rice, I think, was a starting small forward.
Yep.
All right.
But
Moving-
yeah, so the last one I had for you guys was actually just a movie one, just to make it kind of fun. Last night, I got woken up at midnight, couldn't fall back asleep. So I came downstairs, and for the first time ever, I watched The Godfather, all 4 hours. And my take on that, it might be the most overrated movie of all time. What a boring snooze fest this movie is. And people are like, oh, The Godfather is the greatest thing ever. Now, The Godfather sucks.
I will be honest. I've never seen it. I've never watched The Godfather.
So
Never seen it. So I have no opinion on it because I'm like, nah.
I have never seen the full 4 hours, or it was like 3 hours and 47 minutes or whatever it is, like something ridiculous. I've watched maybe 15 minutes of it, and like I think the only parts I know from that movie are like "Say hello to my little friend," and
That's Scarface.
yeah, and like that's
Yeah.
and that's not even the like
So
the
you-
movie, right?
so you didn't even get the right movie.
Yeah, so I would have to agree with you, Wayne. That's probably the most overrated movie of all time, because like I think it was right around this time, like last year, you were on and like we were talking top 10 sports movies of all time, and I put Sandlot in as like overrated. So like, since I haven't watched the full thing, I've only watched like 20 minutes of it and fell asleep. I would have to say it's overrated.
Yeah, the opening hour is like the daughter's wedding at the beginning of the movie. That's the first hour of the movie. And then it like builds and builds and builds. And you're waiting for Pacino to take over as the Godfather, right? And then he finally takes over as the Godfather. And you're like, all right, here we go. Here comes the good stuff. And then the credits came up. And I was like, what? Like it built up to nothing. It was like the whole movie was just build up.
Really?
Which is why I think maybe people, a lot of people say Godfather 2 is better than the first one.
Right.
Even though it didn't win the Academy Award. So I'm excited to see the second one now because I feel like the first one left me on a cliffhanger just when things were starting to get good. It was like, oh, the end of the movie. So maybe this one picks up where that left off.
Yeah, so Drew says he disagrees with you, Wayne, that Godfather is overrated. So maybe you and Drew would be great to have that debate because like I'm not a movie buff by like any means. Like I know you are, Wayne. Tori, are you a movie guy?
I do like my movies. I like a lot of different movies. So I just have not seen, like, I'm not a mainstream guy. Like, I've never seen Titanic. I've never seen The Godfather. I've never seen Goodfellas. Like, I've seen-
Goodfellas is great.
Yeah,
I've seen bits and pieces of Goodfellas, but I know the whole movie, but I've never watched it like from start to finish. It's always been like 15, 20 minutes here and there, and I've watched the whole movie that way.
So Wayne, what is one movie that you can just watch over and over and over again?
So discounting my favorite movie of all time, which is Major League, because that's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
A movie that is everyone's cup of tea, and in fact, if it's not, then you should get the hell out of the country, is The Princess Bride.
What? Princess Bride? That's one
Yeah, The
movie that
Princess
like, you can
Bride.
just watch over and over and over again?
Over and over, and everybody, I don't know anybody who doesn't like that movie. I've never met anyone who's like, The Princess Bride, that movie sucks. Nobody says that because if they do, they just get beaten in an alleyway.
Right. Me.
Right.
It doesn't suck, but definitely not like a movie that I can watch over and over and over again. One movie that I can watch over and over again, besides sports movies, like I love The Replacements, Any Given Sunday, and Major League and whatnot. But it's the Blues Brothers, man. Like with Dan,
Oh,
Dan
you can see
Aykroyd
the
and-
original or Blues Brothers 2000 with like John Goodman and
Blues
I
Traveler.
don't remember. I don't remember who the hell the other person was.
It was Dan Aykroyd
Like-
and John Goodman, right? No,
Yeah,
no,
and then, like a little
yeah.
kid that played
No.
harmonica.
yeah. No, it is the original one with Dan Aykroyd,
Belushi.
yeah, and Bill Belushi. Yeah, I could watch that. It's the Blues Brothers. I
I have
want.
a tough time watching any of those late 70s, early 80s movies. There's a lot of dialogue and there's not a lot of action. I know Blues Brothers has some comedy and some action, but other than like Rocky and Star Wars, I'm pretty much out on the 70s movies.
What about Smokey and
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say
Bandit?
Smokey
Yeah.
and the Bandit.
That was probably
Eh.
Burt Reynolds' prime, and that what's her face was still good looking.
Sally
Cannonball
Fields.
Run, you can do all those.
Yeah. All right.
Cannonball Run was a great movie. For me, non-sport. Are we going? Does it have to be non-sport movie? Because
Oh,
like I'm in
no.
the like Major League for me. Like Major League is
Yeah.
just like one of those that like I will just flip on. So I will say non-sports wise, one that I can flip on, and it's one whenever I don't feel good, I flip it on, and for whatever reason, will watch it because I will fall asleep if I don't feel good, and just rewind it back to wherever I was. Is the movie Patton?
Okay.
Really? Patton?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was from the
I'm a
70s,
mil-
right?
Yeah, I'm a military guy though. So
Right.
like for me, like there's something. I went to Fort Knox. Like I've seen his ivory handled revolvers that he had and stuff like that. Not pearl handles because that's for pimps and was I call it pimps and something else in the movie. So yeah, I have this weird attachment to Patton.
So let me ask you guys this question: We are all fans of the movie Major League. Which one is the best one? 1, 2, or Back to the?
Oh,
We
come
don't even
on.
want to mention the sequels. I mean, that's
Really?
sacrilege.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Awful.
I love Back to the Miners. Like,
No, see, and here's and Major League 2 is a disgrace and an abomination. In fact, if you took the only reason to watch Major League 2 is for Bob Uecker. If they took Bob Uecker out of that movie, then don't even watch it because he's the only part that's actually rewarding. I mean, you know, when he does the whole thing, Jack Parkman doing his shimmy, that makes the women here in Cleveland puke.
I love that part. So we're saying Major League 1 is probably the best.
I was saying probably. It's definitely the best.
It is. Yeah, there's no probably in there. Hands down, the best.
Who?
So a lot of that movie was filmed where I live now in Milwaukee, and so the spot where they're in the bar, and when he picks up the one girl, the one guy's wife.
Oh, Dorn's wife.
Yeah. There's a picture at that exact spot at the table that they were sitting at the bar that they were at Milwaukee. It's called the Hideout in Milwaukee. There's a picture right there above the table.
All right, that Major League is a very classic movie. I feel like we got to go and watch now, like after the show, 100%. But Wayne, we are going to let you go for tonight. So that's debatable for tonight. Wayne, go ahead and send us out. Tell the people where they can find you and talk to you on the old Twitter machine.
Absolutely. Check us out on Twitter at SportsInfinity5. Very interactive. We are on Facebook at Infinity Sports Podcast, on Instagram at Infinity Sports Podcast, and we are part of the Belly Up Sports Network. So check out the podcast and check out my blogs, and feel free to argue with me. Maybe it's debatable for you.
All right, that is very debatable. So we do share Wayne G's blogs on our Facebook page, so be sure to follow us on facebook.com/Man Hour Sports Talks. Wayne, thank you as always for joining us, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we are going to head to our next break. On the other side of the break, we are going to break down. Tori, is this the best division in football? Yes, the NFC West. We are going to be breaking down the NFC West, and we got game picks to come as well, guys. We will be breaking down the Chicago Bears versus Rams, the Packers versus Saints, Browns versus Chiefs, and, of course, the Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. All that and much more, guys, coming up here on the Man Hour. We'll be right back after this. Let's do this one. And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyes on with Tori Anderson tonight. If you have missed any part of the show whatsoever, you can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and of course Spotify, and now Amazon Music as well. You can also find all the clips as we do upload clips every day, 7 days a week at 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, we throw in the 8 p.m. hours as well. You can also find us on TikTok and Twitter at Man Hour Sports Talk. This part of Man Hour is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. You guys can head over to thrivefantasy.com. You do their parlays, over-unders. It is simple as that. You simply, Patrick Mahomes, for example, his over-under is 4.5 touchdowns in week 1. Do you think he's going to throw more than 4 touchdowns or more than 5 touchdowns or under 5 touchdowns? As simple as that. You put over or under, bada bing, bada boom, you are in that bet. So you can use promo code MANHOURS and they'll match up to $50 on your first deposit. Also, when you use promo code MANHOUR at thrivefantasy.com, this week only, week 1 of the NFL draft, you will get entered into their 100,000, not the draft, week 1 of the NFL season, you will get entered into their $100,000 giveaway for free. You have up until Sunday at 10 a.m. to register for that. That's thrivefantasy.com. Promo code MANHOUR. You can also download this on Android and iOS devices. So let's welcome the man back, Mr. Tori Anderson at manhour_Tori. Tori, we have broken down the AFC West. We talking Gus Edwards. We had That's Debatable with like Wayne G. So that went a little over, which is totally fine. So we are going to bump our NFC West picks to, we will throw a special episode out there for people sometime this weekend. But it is time to break down the games, the 4 key games that we have going into week 1. The first game that I want to talk about, Mr. Tori Anderson, is the Chicago Bears versus the Baltimore Ravens. This is a highly anticipated game for Combs. He wants to see where his Chicago Bears are at. So, Tori, how can the Chicago Bears beat the Baltimore Ravens this weekend?
Wait, are you serious?
Well, yeah, I guess so, a little bit.
There's not a chance that the Chicago Bears beat the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. Nothing can happen. They would literally have to play perfect ball. Andy Dalton would have to go 28 for 28 with 380 yards and 4 touchdowns, along with Singletary with 100 plus and maybe 2 more touchdowns. It's not going to happen. It's a fantasy world. The Ravens are going to throttle them. It's in Baltimore, isn't it?
I believe it is in Baltimore. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
On that.
Okay, so the Bears will tear 4 ACLs.
So even with all the injuries that have happened, and yes, the Ravens did sign, Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell to the practice squad. You said that you heard that Le'Veon Bell might be taking some reps for the Ravens. Even with all that uncertainty happening in Baltimore, you're still not giving Chicago any shot?
The Ravens could send Lamar Jackson out there by himself on offense, and he could still score more points than the Bears.
So basically what you're saying, how the Ravens can win this game, is just show up. Do not shit the bed. Show up, play C-level ball, and they win this game?
Pretty much. Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to be a safe bet man here and say you are picking the Baltimore Ravens to win this game?
Yes, whatever the spread is, give me the spread. What's the over-under in the game? We got an over-under?
Let me pull it up for you, and I will let you know momentarily. Give me some music.
It's got to be like 34. I would think the over-under is like 34.
Jeez. You are giving them no faith at all, are you? None at all in this game.
No. For over-under, 34?
No, I meant in general.
No.
Oh, you know what? I fucked that up. I fucked it up. The Bears are playing the Rams week 1. I can't read my own handwriting. The Ravens are playing the Raiders. We just talked about it.
Right.
We just
the
talked
Rams,
about that.
There again, they just got to show up. The Rams have the best defense in the league.
I can't.
They have an offense that.
Oh man.
Buck.
Jeez.
What the buck?
What the buck? the buck stops here. But no. So the point spread is 7.5 in favor of the Rams. So minus 7.5.
Yeah, but what's over under total?
Point wise, 46.5.
Oof. So I would take the Rams and the points. I just don't know if I would do the over. I would probably do the under on that.
Okay. All right. So now that I've messed that game all up, that's the Sunday night game. By the way, let's talk a game that is near and dear to your heart, and that is the Green Bay Packers versus the New Orleans Saints. How can the Packers win this game versus the Saints?
Let Jameis be Jameis. So that's Combs takes his first step towards doing the last dab this week. I mean, hell, Jameis may play so bad that they can him after this week. So give me the Packers all day long. It is now technically a neutral field because they're playing the game in Jacksonville. They think that they're like, oh, it's hot. You think it doesn't get hot in Wisconsin in the summer? You think it's not 100% humidity? Think that you're getting over it? It's one thing if this was like November and they aren't used to it anymore, but we're literally like, we're just coming out of this weather. Not a big deal. No, so I give me the Packers all day long on that one. Jameis will be Jameis. The Packers defense is going to outclass that Saints offense that's trying to put a lot of new pieces into place. So give me the Packers all day long.
So what you are saying is the Packers just need to show up and let Jameis Winston throw interceptions and
Fumble, get sacked.
And I think that is how the New Orleans Saints can win this game. Is I think the Packers are going to be complacent and just show up. I think Winston, how he can win this game for the New Orleans Saints is he needs to expose Kevin King early and expose Kevin King often. They are not going to run the ball very much. I believe Michael Thomas is out for the Saints still. So who are you going to stop in that wide receiver core? And when they decide they're going to try to double XYZ receiver, that is when Alvin Kamara is going to start to come out of the backfield, do some dink and dunk, some dancing.
And that's where you're wrong because they're just Kamara will be the focus of that offense.
You think so?
Who else have they got?
I don't know.
Traquan Smith. Are you scared of Traquan Smith? You're scared of Marquez Callaway?
Yeah, I am.
Who?
No,
There's nobody. They're gonna focus on Kamara. They're gonna force Jameis to throw it. I'm more scared of Jameis or Kamara running the ball than I am Jameis throwing the ball because Jameis is turnover prone. So like Combs likes to Favre threw a ton of interceptions. Favre threw a ton of interceptions over the first 6 years, and now we can basically each throw out because Favre sat his first year. Jameis sat last year. The only difference between those 2 years is Jameis threw for 75 yards and no touchdowns and no picks, and Favre threw 4 passes and 2 interceptions.
So with that being said, who do you got winning this
Green Bay
game?
All day long?
Yeah, I'm picking the Green Bay Packers as well. It is a 3.5 spread, over under 49 points. I'm taking the under. And I'm still taking the Packers with the spread on that.
I would agree with that. Take the under and take the Packers and points.
All right. So
give up the points, I should say.
Yeah. So the next game that we are going to talk about is the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs. Tori, I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I want you to tell me how can the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cleveland Browns?
This is going to be probably the best game of the entire weekend in my mind. This is a potential AFC championship game for sure. You get 2 AFC playoff teams. How can Kansas City just got to show up, play Kansas City ball, do the things Kansas City does. What Kansas City's going to have to do is tighten up their defense. You have no Tyron. You got to figure out who's gonna be the leader of your defense, and from there you're gonna have to bring it to Baker Mayfield. You're gonna have to put heat on Baker Mayfield, force him into mistakes.
Yeah, and
so
go ahead.
No, so if you can force Baker into the mistakes, you're going to be just fine. But there again, those offenses against each other are almost as prolific as each other. So you got a 2-headed monster backfield with Cleveland. You have Austin Hooper at tight end. You have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. Like that offense can put points up on the board right with the Kansas City Chiefs. This game will come down to which defense can make the stop.
Yeah. So on the flip side of the coin, I think the Cleveland Browns can win this game because how they can win this game is they need to exploit what Tyrann Mathieu does great for that Kansas City Chiefs defense when he is in there. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, puts him in the right position play after play after play. The defensive coordinator can call the wrong play, the wrong formation. Players can be lined up wrong. The Honey Badger gets him in the right place play after play after play. And when he is not in there, how the Browns can win this game is throw a lot of pick routes to their receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry are going to have big games if they want to win versus the Kansas City Chiefs, but the X factor is going to be Kareem Hunt. Because obviously this is a homecoming for Kareem Hunt after getting cut by the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago. So I think he has to play out of his mind for the Cleveland Browns to have a chance versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Tori, who do you got winning this game?
I do believe because is that KC?
It is at Arrowhead, and Kansas City is favored by 5.5 points with the over/under of 54.5.
I would take Cleveland with the points. I would take the over, and I still think Kansas City wins, but I think it's a tight game. I think Kansas City wins by a field goal in this game, just because it is. If we were in the dog pound, I would probably say Cleveland and the exact same thing. Because that crowd will play a factor. I mean, it's the loudest stadium in the NFL.
And this is the first time of them being 100% since the whole positive things have happened. You know, we can't say the C word, Tori, but hopefully you guys know what I am talking about. So I am taking my Kansas City Chiefs outright. I believe this is going to be a very low scoring game. So I'm taking the under because week one, historically, offenses just aren't very good. They aren't clicking. They're just not good. The Kansas City Chiefs have a new offensive line, and I do believe that Honey Badger will be playing for the Kansas City Chiefs come this week one game. So I'm picking a 21-17 score. So if I have to pick the spread, I'm picking the Browns, but I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win outright in this game. Moving on to the last game that we are going to pick, Tori, before we head out for tonight, are the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. How can the Patriots beat the Miami Dolphins?
Mac Jones continues to develop like he did in the preseason. Mac Jones, it's like I said, I spent all offseason dogging Mac Jones. I mean, you can look back at some of our previous videos. It is me not saying anything good about Mac Jones, calling him trash, calling him everything, being like, you're just another Alabama QB that can't make it in the NFL, and I think he's going to make me eat my words.
Yes.
So I think if Mac Jones continues to develop and play like he did in the preseason, 100% they have a chance to win this game.
Yeah, so I am on the flip side of coin of this. How I think Miami Dolphins can win this game is put pressure on Mac Jones because I feel like Mac Jones and Bill Belichick are going to have that Tom Brady type of mindset. Hey, if you're hanging onto the ball for over 2 seconds, we aren't doing things right. So I think you are going to see a lot of one-on-one coverage on the outside from the Miami Dolphins. They want to double up their tight ends and make Mac Jones beat you deep. And I'm not for sure if a Mac Jones is really prepared to do that yet. So I anticipate a lot of blitz packages coming from Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins defense, and I think the New England Patriots' worst enemy is Mac Jones and that rookie quarterback at home and kind of in that primetime game with a division opponent. So I feel that everything's kind of stacked up against Mac Jones going into week one. But who do you have winning this game?
I still got the Dolphins winning the game overall. This is a team that, again, is on the rise. This is where we're going to kind of see where is Tua actually at as a starter for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. So
This could be Tua's coming out party or the precursor to them trading for Deshaun Watson next week.
yeah. So I feel that Tua, it kind of has that looking over the shoulder, looking in Houston, because we're seeing Deshaun Watson inactive in. Deshaun Watson wants to come to Miami. So I think Tua is going to be kind of playing up tight. So this would not surprise me if it's a 6-3, 9-3 tie type of score. And I think that low score favors New England Patriots. So I'm picking the Patriots in this game. It is over under 43.5. I'm definitely picking the under. What about you?
I will take the under. I could see this one being like a 24-17 type game, which would put us at 41. So I would take the under.
Alrighty, guys. So you heard it here first. Those are the 4 games that we are breaking down. Be sure to follow us on our Twitters, as we will be releasing all of our game picks through probably sometime tomorrow or Saturday, as me, Tori, and Combs are all going head-to-head week after week, and we do have the Wheel of Death getting ready to happen as well. So what the Wheel of Death is the whoever gets the lowest number of correct games picked will have to spin the Wheel of Death. And Tori, some of these Wheel of Death things that we have on there are pretty scandalous, I might say. So give the people a little bit of preview of what's going on that Wheel of Death.
So I did a little quick grocery shopping before I came home from work. So I did buy a bag of marshmallows. So one of the things is do an entire segment with keep adding the marshmallow to your mouth through the whole segment. Like I think it's every minute.
Yeah.
That you have to keep doing it. I did buy another bottle of syrup. So one of our other ones is chug an entire bottle of syrup. Couple of them got vetoed. Another one is, you have to mean tweet at your favorite or at an athlete of the winner's choosing.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going to take one of your favorite athletes to make you like mean tweet at them. And they got to tag us all in it. So
yeah. So one of the things that got turned down, because I'm worried about my life if I do this. Tori wants me to tell, or me and Brandon to tell our significant wives, like, hey, we are breaking up, and wants us to record it. Tori, I value my life a lot more than a silly little spin of Wheel of Death. As much as I put into the Man Hour, like I put in 9 hours a day on the Man Hour doing the clips and all that good stuff. I am not risking my life for you guys. I am sorry. So that got nixed. Get that out of here.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was good if we all just dating somebody, but the fact that I'm married.
But BC turned down the other one of that. We have to you would have to text your ex to
right.
tell them that you missed them.
Yeah. So pre-show, me and Tori were prepping for the show, and Cindy wanted to watch the game, and Tori's like, "Tell her we're gonna I'm gonna leave you." So I said, "Hey, honey, Tori wants me to tell you that we are breaking up," and she's like, "Sorry about your luck, you're stuck." So I was like, "Okay." I mean, it wasn't that bad, but clearly, she knew we were playing around. But whatever. Yeah. Tori, go ahead and send us out, big guy.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.